even if you were looked at as the GOAT, we're taking that GOAT status down because you got there the wrong way.
LeBron or LeGoat? That was a legitimate question. He hit another milestone. He reached a total of 50,000 points in the regular season and playoffs.
50,000?
50,000.
That's a lot of points. I must admit, as a Jordan fan, that is a lot of points.
Hey, now he just added to the list.
He's added to the list.
Yeah, this is in the Lakers 136-115 win versus the Pelicans. Tristo, we already know LeBron is in a higher tier that kind of just keeps moving up. Is this enough to make him the overall GOAT? How are we feeling? One, about his achievement, and then two, your thoughts overall on LeBron and then the caliber that he's playing at the age he's at.
You do that. I'm not going to even let you lay the groundwork for that. No. LeBron is great at the longevities he's having. Let's just put apples where apples go, and let's put oranges where oranges go. It wouldn't matter if he gets 70,000 points, right? We're not weighing them against points. We're weighing them against the dominance. If I play much longer, I'm going to get much more points. We're not going by points. If we were going by points, then that means Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would have been the GOAT until LeBron passed him. That's not what we're equating this to. I think people keep missing the argument because they keep trying to slide in new information. New information doesn't change what it is that we're basing this upon. It could change the.
LeBron's career is a manipulated career, you know. And I used to be a LeBron fan for a long time until I realized that, this man has been given so many opportunities to be great and to make the best moments in the NBA. He's being portrayed as the best player and promoted the most. He's had the longest promotion of like any athlete other than maybe Tom Brady. And he himself has failed to do anything with it, you know? And everyone's always making excuses for this guy. And they're always trying to, oh no, he couldn't do it because of this. Oh, there's always like, I've never seen somebody get so many excuses. So many excuses. This man gets excuses, pre-excuses for his excuses, just in case he fails. Like, that's insane. Like, you can never get away with that in real life. You can never fail at doing something. You can't fail at school and then come home and like come up with a pre-excuse. Oh, I knew I wasn't going to pass like fifth grade because, you know, the teacher fourth grade, she didn't really do this, and so it's not really my fault. Like, no, your parents don't. Your parents would have never wanted to hear that. You know, but people allow this to, or the media allows this to happen. So it's like they're planting, this agenda on us, and it slips in, and next thing we're talking all this nonsense like, oh, he didn't really get this, oh, he didn't get that, oh, he didn't. Are you kidding me? This man came into the league in the weakest East Conference in history. The whole time he was in the Eastern Conference, it was just like it was for the taking. Like the West Coast was where all the real competitive. That's where the competition was. If you made it up the West, if you made it first of all, if you're in the West Coast playoffs, if you were in the playoffs on the West Coast, you was a real, you really had to be a tough team. Like you had to have a lot of wins. You had to really, go out there and just, you know, you had to have some dogs on your team. You had to be tested. So, every Kobe, Dirk, the Spurs, Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Tony Parker, all them players on those teams those teams were loaded. They weren't like super teams. They were just a bunch of tough players who knew how to fight and scrap the way past each other. They knew how to they were experts at their positions, and you couldn't just have them looking like they didn't know what to do like out there. They all knew what they needed to do, and that's provide the most help they could for their team. They didn't have these big egos where they felt like certain things were above them. So that's just how it was from the night from the beginning. And like going into from the 90s into the 2000s, you had to battle with what you had, and it wasn't like all these teams were just trash. You had teams that were filled with like defensive players and players that were specialists, and that's how the NBA was, and that's the difference between the NBA then and the NBA now. Back then you had a 3-point specialist, and people like to bring up players from back then's 3-point shootings. Like they didn't need to do the shooting, or the main stars usually didn't do that much shooting from the 3-point line because you had a 3-point specialist. Derek Fisher was a 3-point specialist, or you have like a Kyle Korver, or you have Steve Kerr, or Craig Hodges, or Dale Ellis, or you had some of the guys on the Spurs who were like knocked down. Or you have Ray Allen, or you have some of the guys on the Spurs who could hit the tough shots. You know, especially when they were needed. And this is how the NBA was. You know, and everybody wasn't standing around the 3-point line. You start play, you had to have a true big man. You had to have a player like Tim Duncan caliber. If with post moves and things like that, they had to have these types of things. And this is why the NBA was a legitimate league back in these days. And so that's this is my thing is that LeBron James has neutered the NBA. He has neutered the NBA, and he is every year he's sucking the talent out of the NBA and putting it on his team, and then devaluing the talent on the team. And I don't know if anybody has said it like that, but that is my take on LeBron James and how we got to this point. I'm surprised it took this long, but it's finally happened. That's just getting this bad, and everyone just trying to blame this. And LeBron's folks with Clutch Sports, they're trying to always trying to control the narrative when it comes to the NBA. They have hijacked the NBA through ESPN and different sports media and podcasts, and some of these guys like Richard Jefferson and Shannon Fry and stuff like that. All his buddies that used to play with him. He has them out here trying to spin narratives to make him look good because that's how toxic he is. But I'm on to his games, and a lot of us on YouTube are on to his BS. We know what's really going on. We're not these people. We're not thinking. But yeah, he's got his people out there doing the work of manipulating the narrative. But really, this is all these are all cover ups because he has to constantly suck the talent out of different teams, find the best talent from these teams, and put them on his team because he can't do great things without having other star players come to his team. That's why it's all like, oh, who wants to come play with LeBron this year? Who wants to come to play with LeBron this year? Oh man, this guy should come play with LeBron. Every time you look at ESPN, they're saying the same garbage. Who's gonna come play with LeBron? Who's gonna do this with LeBron? How's this player gonna look besides LeBron? What's the career gonna look like? It's like, dude, what is going on? Like no other athlete has had this ever. You've never had like, oh, how's Charles Barkley going to look like with, Hakeem or well, I guess they did play later, but that was not pushed by ESPN. You don't have like people saying, oh, how's Charles Barkley going to look like with Sean Kemp, or how's uh, John Stockton going to look playing besides uh, you know how's he going to look like playing with David Robinson, or like you don't have that type of stuff. Like every year they're talking about how to get this guy some more top players in the league, and then he gets them, and then they underachieve, and then they're the player that comes to his team is the one that gets dumped on. Everyone starts, oh, he's not really this. He's a bum. This guy's yeah. Who is this guy? He wasn't doing anything before LeBron. It's like what? And they're always doing this. Every player that's played with LeBron is some type of bum. Dwayne Wade. People out here throwing any player in front of Dwayne Wade now. Oh, Dwayne Wade. He wasn't even. He's not. SGA is better than Dwayne Wade. James Harden is better than Dwayne Wade. Look at the numbers. Look at this. Blah blah blah. Like that stuff is garbage. This is garbage, and this is the narrative. These narratives of what are ruining the NBA. It doesn't come from you know uh, the old heads or whatever type of garbage they're trying to say. Oh, the fans, they don't have any respect for the game. No, this comes from the controlled the agenda, the ones who want to control the agenda over LeBron's career. They want us to believe that this guy is just a guy that everybody wants to play with, and he makes everybody better. And everybody just wants to play with him. And when you can play with him, like you're going to win, and your career's going to become a bit better. And it's not. It's the opposite. They go to his team, and they don't get to. There's no chemistry, and they just play out of whack, and they just get devalued. And all this that's what happens to a lot of these players. They get devalued, and the next thing you know, that's their career. That's what their career become toxic with LeBron. Dwayne Wade's career could have been better. He was in the conversation with Kobe in a legitimate way. It wasn't just some like toxic. Oh, I think he's like no, he's in the mid to late 2000s. He was putting in that work. He was going to the finals against Boston. Dropping crazy points. You know what I'm saying? He was. People forget how fast he was. Like he was a beast. And then LeBron comes to town. And this is on Dwayne Wade. He probably didn't see this coming, but like him when LeBron told him about the super team and they did this. This changed the whole DNA of the NBA. And that's what's really going on right now. The NBA, ever since that decision, has changed the entire DNA of the NBA, and now everything is devalued and watered down, and the lineage of the NBA is not the same. So you can never talk about anybody post the 2010 decision in the same light as the players of the past because they played with what they had. They didn't constantly just jump on a team. You didn't hear like, oh, is there going to be a conversation of Jordan's going to play with uh, you know, this player over here, or is it, he could fit real well playing with Dominique, who's going to stop them? Like that's not even inspirational. Like, what is that? That should never come up. Like, but it's a comfortable conversation now because the NBA has been watered down. Now it's a bunch of garbage drama. That's what's happened. The NBA is not supposed to be like this. This is a competitive league. You're supposed to be able to go out here and figure out what you need to do as a star player, superstar player. That's why you're getting paid like a superstar. And you're supposed to figure out how to win with your team that you have you know. And these are professional players. You can't sit there and tell me that you think of these professional players are bumps and then try to use lowlights of your teammate or have the ESPN spinning narratives about your teammates and how they're only doing this and they're not efficient and they're da da da. Like how you trying to make always trying to make these teammates of LeBron's out to be bums. We've seen it just so many times just in his stay with the Lakers. He got rid of the whole team. The whole team when he got there, he got them all out at they're gonna say he didn't do it, but come on. It's the same thing every time. This man plays with a different team every year. And they want us to believe that he's some type of great player and he doesn't do any of that. His career is a narrative. It's a narrative, it's drama, it's bullshit. And he is not the great player that they say that he is. You know. And we have to realize that his DNA or his influence has changed the DNA of the game. And he has devalued and watered down the league into this some nonsense drama about himself. Like he sees the league as his like soap opera. That's how it's working. That's how it clearly works in his head. He thinks this is some type of soap opera for him and now his family. He's gonna he's probably gonna bring his other son into the league who's not good either. And just further water down the league, and that's gonna kill the NBA. You know, and no one's standing up. Everybody's just being quiet, acting like this is some cool stuff. Like it's not cool. You know, uh, this man has watered down the league. I don't look at him as a legit top anything. You know, all the players that played after, or all these players that are influenced by him, all of them have like a asterisk to their career. Like Kevin Durant, you know, Paul George, they're all playing the game the wrong way. They're all going about it the wrong way, which is why their careers are going the way they were. If Paul George played in and continues to play in Indiana and played all out because he had the injury out there, and that messed up his career. But he would have been continued to be celebrated if he battled it out and just stayed out there, and he would eventually have that team because you would have eventually gotten some pieces. Turner came because he was playing before Hibbert. If Turner came over there, they would have had something going on, and they would have been able to make things work. But that's going to be another thing for another day. But my point is that this dude has turned this league into like the discussion has turned into something else, and it's the tipping point. He's tipping things over, and he thinks he can just keep doing these types of things, and you know it's ridiculous. He is not in the top of anything. Everything he's done has been through manipulation. This man is just a spoiled brat in the league, and has to do all kinds of shenanigans to get himself in discussions with anything. He does not. People need to don't even don't even uh, participate in go conversations. He does not belong in. There should not be a comparison between him and none of these top players. It shouldn't be like, oh, him versus Magic. Oh, him. Nothing about his career is organic. Nothing about his greatness, quote unquote, is organic. Everything he's done, he has cheated to get to that point. So he is not in anything. All these great players are great players because they legitimately figured out ways to win and make their team better. They don't need to go cry to the league to constantly get more help and do all this silly nonsense. So you know, yeah, and it they did more things in less time. This guy's played 22 years. All the teammates that you can name, if you're a true fan of LeBron, you can name, or just watching the NBA, you can name all these players. It's a long ass list of players this man has played with, and you can only win 4 times. That's insane with all them players. You could start a football team on both sides with the amount of players this man has played with, and he has not won. And these are great players that he played with. That they're going to tell you the value and tell you is not they're not great. You know. So not only does he devalue his play, is or he devalues the players around him. He's devaluing the talent in the league. And then he's bringing in less talented players, like his son, and then he's going to try to devalue the past NBA players. And this is what's killing the league. You got a man in here that we're trying to exalt, who is devaluing the league in order to exalt himself. And that's it. That's crazy. That's all you need to know about what's going on. People talking about this and that. No, you have that. This is the guy. Put that out there. You have a guy trying to exalt himself by devaluing the entire product, and he needs to go. Point blank. Period. Let me know if you agree. If you have anything to put on top of that, and that's it, folks. I'm gonna holler at y'all about some other NBA related stuff or whatever's going on. And yeah, y'all can get at me.